Good evening and welcome to another edition of Filmnut. I am your host, Jeff Schubert. Glad you can join us. Well, long before it was fashionable to be green, my guest tonight was toxic, as in Toxic Avenger. And just a couple of weeks ago, everyone's favorite environmental hero was listed as number 11 in Entertainment Weekly's list of essential cult movies. Congratulations, Lloyd Kaufman, for that. With hundreds of credits as a director, producer, distributor, and actor, my guest has been proudly and defiantly independent for over 35 years as president of Troma Entertainment. He has also influenced such careers as James Gunn, Trey Parker, Matt Stone, and Eli Roth, just to name a few. Just recently, he was elected to a second term as chairman of the Independent Film and Television Alliance, advocating for such causes as net neutrality. With the remake of Mother's Day in post-production, another Toxic Avenger sequel on the way, Lloyd shows no signs of slowing down. And here he is, still clucking along after all these years with his business associate, Super Tromette Bipolaria. Mr. Lloyd Kaufman, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Jeff, and what a great honor for me to be here. After 40 years, I finally get called back to Filmnut. Woohoo!
Whoa! No,
and Super Tromette Bipolaria is with me tonight. How cool is that?
It's very cool. Welcome to the program,
Hi.
Super Tromette.
How are you?
Very well, thank you. Now, Super Tromette Bipolarity is...
Bipolaria.
Bipolaria. What is your association?
Well, we are developing some special Troma projects, and Bipolaria is, she's had a little bit of a rough time recently, but this is kind of her first kind of night out of the, well, first night.
Lloyd doesn't keep you caged in a basement or anything, does he?
I can do cupcake.
Oh.
Yay!
Well,
We're cupcake.
thanks for the cupcake. I'll just put that aside for a little later. I don't want to get a sugar rush during the interview.
Wow, Bipolaria, that's very generous of you.
Very generous.
Very
Did she give you a cupcake too?
No, she did not. But
Well,
it's okay. It's okay. It's
Thank you
okay.
very
Wow.
much. That's very sweet of you.
I think
Literally.
Bipolaria likes you.
Maybe she does. Well, maybe we'll talk after the show. Now, just recently, AFM, American Film Market, takes place once a year in Santa Monica. And you were it just wrapped up a few days ago, correct?
The American Film Market is the only, it's the largest film convention in the world, and it's the only one that is actually run by the people who sell the movies, because the Independent Film and Television Alliance is the trade association of the independent film industry, and the members actually run the American Film Market, so it's quite unique.
So anything to report from this year's AFM, for either for Troma specifically or for the film business in general?
Well, I think it's a tough time for independent art and commerce, and you know, Bipolaria and I are developing Toxic Avenger Part 5, The Toxic Twins, but you know, that has a brand name, but I think it's very hard now because of what we talked about last time, namely the giant conglomerates they continue to strangle the independents, and it's really, really difficult.
A couple things to follow up on that you mentioned that relate to our last interview. I believe the evil devil worshipping conglomerates is what you refer to them as.
Well, the evil devil worshipping international media, they're international.
They're international now. Yeah. Well, in all seriousness, because it's really not funny, that first interview with you was a little over 2 years ago, and I had met with you prior to that about a book prior to that, and you've been talking about this for a while. Has that situation gotten worse? Is it the same? What can the independent do to survive today?
Well, today it looks like the independent, the American film market, based on my observation, it's purely anecdotal, but it looked like those of our members who were making kind of A-quality theatrical films were doing fine. But the rest of us who are making smaller budget movies that may not have giant theatrical releases, very tough going.
They're
very difficult.
Maybe on the DVD market?
Either DVD or television or the new technology. It's very tough. Very, very tough.
Now, another thing you talked about last time, I was asking you about another Toxic Avenger, and at the time you said you didn't think so much that you would go in that direction. Obviously, that's changed. So what changed?
Did you say I had an erection when I was on your show?
No.
Did you have an erection when you were on his show? How did you know?
If you did, I didn't notice. But I was talking about...
it would be very small.
It would be very small. Toxic Avenger, you were saying how you might not do another one, or you were inclined not to do another one.
I wasn't that excited about it, but I think I've gotten the virus again to do the trauma. My traumatons are starting to act up, and So the next Toxic Avenger will involve Toxie's twins that he had in Citizen Toxie, the Toxic Avenger Part 4, which I think is, a lot of people don't know this, but the best Toxic Avenger is Citizen Toxie, the Toxic Avenger Part 4. I would urge you to check that out if you like the first one.
Now, just in case there are some people watching who are not familiar with Toxic Avenger, and I mentioned a little bit about
Yes.
it in the intro, what is it about and what does it mean to you that now, all these years after the Toxic Avenger, the environment seems to be such an issue that's at the front of everyone's conscious?
Well, the Toxic Avenger is, had some kind of magic. You know, basically I've spent 35 years at Troma being a failed filmmaker, but somehow with the Toxic Avenger, it became part of the American lexicon. And, you know, it was magical. We don't know exactly why Toxie is so successful, but women, or gyno, we don't say woman because it has the word man in it, as you know. Politically correct word is gyno-Americans or gyno-tromet, whatever. They like Toxie. So instead of just getting the boys to a movie like The Toxic Avenger, which has got gore and humor and kind of mixes the genres, we got couples. And I guess that's why Toxie's so successful, and that's why there's now there's a Broadway musical playing. It's been there a year in New York.
We'll get to the musical in a second,
Yeah.
but again, you know, a lot of your movies have great comedy, have great satire, have horror, and they seem to be ahead of its time, like I think Toxie was.
Well, Poultrygeist Night of the... Well, Toxie, when we made Toxie, the environment was not on anyone's radar. I was getting kind of underground newspapers or newsletters about toxic waste dumps ticking away like time bombs, and children playing in the Rio in the garbage with pixie dust. They thought it was pixie dust, and it was actually radium from the X-ray machines. And anyway, that I can bore you for about an hour of why I made the Toxic Avenger. But all the movies that I've written and directed, they all have one foot usually in a provocative political or sociological theme. Terra Firma, my most personal film, is basically about the independent artist who is fighting the system, and you know he whether he's making good art or bad art, he believes in it, and how tragic. And then of course in Terra Firma, the goofy special effects of the movie world intersect with the real life violence of the big city. And Romeo and Juliet was about how the post-war baby boomers, the Al Gore yuppies, are strangling the younger generation, and why they turn inward and do tattooing and piercing and autoerotic asphyxiation, because the post-war baby boomers, the bulge in the snake has smothered and kind of discouraged the young people from having real emotion. You know, the whole thing is be cool, play the saxophone on MTV, like Bill Clinton. You okay?
Well, I think
You didn't eat my cupcake.
What?
You didn't eat my cupcake.
What's the problem with polarity?
You didn't eat the cupcake. Can you?
You really offended me, you know that.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's a rule. I can't eat on camera.
You can't. Why?
It's just
You made that rule.
Brian Grimeau, the founder of the Stream.tv.
But you really hurt my feelings.
I'm sorry.
You gonna tell Brian he's hurt my feelings?
I will tell Brian. Maybe we can get him to amend the rule.
I mean, I am watching. I hear
Brian!
and see what you guys
It's a
are
virtual
saying.
Okay, Brian.
It's a virtual cupcake. Don't put your hand in front
Generally,
of
we
your
don't let
face.
any food in the studio at all.
I can get fired
Super
if you
Troma bipolaria.
So let's get to some instant messages coming in from viewers, but I'm glad you got a chance to say what you did about your movies, because from the outside looking in, people can see the jokes, they can see the horror, and they're really missing the point if that's all they see. So I wanted to give you an opportunity to say that.
Poultrygeist Night of the Chicken Dead opens the door now, and in fact, I just put up a Lloyd's Roids at Troma.com about the fact that you one step further, fast food is bad. You know, these fast food places are awful, but on every level. But on the other hand, also Poultrygeist opens the door to the fact that we should maybe cut down on meat eating, because bovine flatulence is more a cause of the destruction of the ozone and global warming than anything that is man-made.
Right, absolutely. So let's get to that first IM of the evening. Magic Mikasa would like to ask, how soon is Toxie 5 shooting, and what is your estimated release date?
Oh my God, Troma doesn't have release dates. That's the nice thing about making movies that nobody wants to see. Peter Jackson, who loves Troma, he has to get his movies out for Christmas. Whereas, I'm sorry.
When are we gonna see the rabbits, Lloyd?
Well, this is your.
When are we gonna see the rabbits?
The rabbits?
I
You
told
said
her.
there would be rabbits.
I
Did
told
you tell her there were going to be rabbits in order to get her to come in tonight?
Well, I was trying to. It's the first night out after quite a while of being somewhere, and
Just gonna do the cupcake.
it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. What we were talking about
Making movies that no one wants to see and the benefit of that.
Yeah, I don't have to deliver them at any particular time. That's Peter Jackson's job.
Right.
So and now it takes me a long time. People think that making a Troma movie is something we do, just we do it in 3 days the way Roger Corman did it. He's talented. It takes me a long time to get a script together. So it'll be a long time, sir. In fact, if you have any good ideas, it's going to be the Toxic 5 will be about Toxie's twins, and who you could see, and they were born in Citizen Toxie, Toxic Avenger Part 4. So we're going to continue Toxie's life in each movie he gets older.
Right.
And the theme of Toxic 5 it'll still have the usual environmental side, but in the same way that Citizen Toxie dealt with abortion and a woman's right to choose, and how MTV is brainwashing kids to get plastic surgery and all that. The fifth Toxic Avenger will deal with other important social issues.
You mentioned Bill Clinton a few moments ago. I know I've heard you speak before in interviews talk about how, on the one hand, President Reagan made it easier for the studios to control movies, and Bill Clinton made it easier for the studios to control TV and radio, was it?
Well, the financial syndication rule was done away with. The financial syndication rule prevented the vertical integration of television, and it also had rules about not owning newspapers and television stations in the same market. So Rupert Murdoch now owns the New York Post and Fox in New York, and not to mention whatever else, and the Wall Street Journal and all that. That used to be against the rules. That now, because of the getting rid of that, you've got the reality shows. You've got GE owning NBC. The way that the majors solved the issue of getting rid of financial syndication is they bought the network. So now we're being strangled. It's really bad.
So if my math is correct, President Reagan Republican, President Clinton Democrat, who then is the ally of the independent filmmaker?
It's a big problem. In fact, Michael Moore, as you know, you probably know, he said that Clinton was the greatest Republican president we ever had. And the reason I was recently, as you mentioned, re-elected chairman of Independent Film and Television Alliance is because I want us to lobby in Washington to A, fight media consolidation, and B, protect the free, open, and diverse, Mr. Obama, diverse internet. Because right now the internet is the last democratic medium.
That's the last place, right? We're never going to roll. It's going to be hard for us to roll back the clock, but the internet and net neutrality, go ahead.
Well, I know it's quixotic, but I personally, and I am hoping that if we can create enough guerrilla noise in Washington, if we can stir enough dust up, maybe maybe Congress might. Maybe there'll be hearings about industry consolidation. There should be about media consolidation, and the only thing that the conglomerates fear, they don't fear anything. They don't fear their stockholders. That's obvious. Time Warner's stock's in the toilet. Viacom's basically bust. They own Paramount and MTV and all those movie theaters, National whatever it is. And they don't own the cupcake companies, though, fortunately.
Well,
I know you made that cupcake. I'm sorry.
There's nothing wrong with my cupcake. Like, it's only been, I left it in my car for like 3 weeks, just for you. Because I was excited
The cupcake
for you to eat it.
I'm sorry.
It was in your car for 3 weeks?
Yeah, just for you.
Well, generally I have a
just
policy
safe.
of
It was
not
safe.
eating cupcakes that are sitting in a car for 3 weeks.
Can't you just do it for me?
I can't.
Why don't you like me?
Oh, I like you very much. It's nothing personal.
Well, let's go back to what were we talking about?
We're talking about.
Very senile.
I'd like to pick it up with current, most up-to-date news that you have on net neutrality. We did an interview with Patrick Verome, president of the Writers Guild at the time. It was very informative.
He actually
about
knows something about it. Yeah.
Well, he testified before Congress.
Yeah.
And but I know you were telling me you have some news regarding what goes on with the FCC.
Well,
currently.
we're going to meet with Janikowski, who's the new FCC chairman, literally in a couple of weeks. Hopefully he'll keep the appointment. He's broken it twice. But I think this time it's going to happen. He's for. I mean, they've come out for net neutrality. But the other problem is that the big guys are colonizing the internet. You know, Murdoch bought MySpace, and as you can see, MySpace is, you know, people are leaving MySpace because it's gotten so full of ads and commercials and people buying it. And Hulu is now this group of General Electric, Disney. They're all in it together. So colonizing, you know, colonization has never worked. Just ask the French. So we're hopefully can get this stuff out into the consciousness of FCC and of the various congressional committees and the Federal Trade Commission, and try to show that the independent entertainment industry, film and TV, is the engine of ingenuity, right? You know, people try to suggest that the independents, the lower budget movies, try to imitate the big movies. That's not true at all. It's the independents that do the movies that nobody's done before. And you know, at AFM, there must have been 50 producers running around trying to sell people, pre-sell people Paranormal, right, or the next Toxic Avenger or whatever. So the engine of ingenuity. How many jobs are created by independent film and television? Thousands and thousands, billions of dollars in revenue is exported from the United States. You know, we have a balance of payments problem, and most of the Congress people were not in office when the financial syndication rule was done away with. So they need to know that independent art is not just movies and TV, but independent art in general is under assault.
And whenever we talk about net neutrality,
not just under assault, by the way, independent art is also under a pepper.
Right, there you go. And the reason being under assault is, again, with the internet being the last place for independent artists to go.
It's not a cupcake joke. It's all going to be all right.
Yeah, it'll be all right. But whenever talking about net neutrality, to talk about how it affects everyone. It affects small businesses of all walks and all varieties, right? I mean, it's like...
Yeah, exactly.
So if you're watching this, net neutrality is a very important issue to keep yourself aware of and informed of. Again, it's making it so it's as easy to get to this site as it is to get to a big studio site. It's as easy to get to a mom and pop store's website as it is to get to a big business's website. Regardless of the nature of the business, it's keeping that net neutral.
That's exactly right. Yeah, and so if something excellent, if an excellent piece of entertainment like two women and one cup comes along, the public can go there. and oh, sorry, I'm sorry. I apologize.
One cupcake.
But sorry, cupcake. Yeah.
So you know.
Let's get to another instant message question from a viewer. Cupcheck would like to ask you. To me, your movie.
Oh, please.
So you want to eat it, don't you?
I'm sorry?
You want to eat it.
Huh?
Just go against it. Just eat it.
Just be different.
Just go against authority. Just eat the cupcake.
You know, if this was
just eat it.
If this was my last.
Eat it.
If this was my last night on the stream, I would. If it was mine or Brian's birthday, I might.
There's been a super traumatic bipolarious had a tough.
When are we gonna get to the
Don't you
good
mess
movie?
with me, boy.
She's okay. She'll be all right. She's okay.
Come on,
she's
you liked me at the
very
beginning of the
talented.
interview. You can like
talented.
me again.
Yeah, but you won't eat my cupcakes.
We have to get over the cupcake.
Don't you mess with me?
I'm not going to mess
You're
with you.
messing with me.
I'm not messing
You're
with you.
playing.
I'm not playing. I'm very glad you're here. Lloyd's very glad you're here.
Yes.
You're playing with me.
No.
Remember
I liked you.
the rabbits.
I thought I could go somewhere.
Remember the rabbits.
Yeah, rabbits. I'm gonna go and see rabbits.
Good.
So let's get back to
Cupcheck's question. To me, your movies were always entertaining and funny. With the Toxic Avenger wielding around a mop, what are your thoughts about your movies having such a cult following?
I am very grateful. There would be no Troma without our fans. Sorry, without our fans, there would be no. And we're very grateful to our fans. We're not just grateful to our fans, but also to our air conditioners. And there's no question that and the internet has been a major tool for us, a major weapon in terms of.
Do you like this one better? Is it just that you didn't like that one?
No, it has
This
nothing to
one's
do with.
good, yeah.
I'm sure it's delicious, and maybe after the show we'll have a little cupcake party. But unfortunately,
You can have a cupcake party with me.
It's going to be okay.
There's,
He's not gonna have a cupcake party
I'm
with
sorry.
me, right?
I did say that you might. I didn't say that.
You didn't
Jeff would
promise,
eat
right?
I didn't even know if he is allergic to cupcakes. But I did tell. She's had a tough time, bipolaria, but it's okay, right? You remember how happy you were just 15 minutes ago? You were like really happy. You were like really happy 15 minutes ago. Remember? Remember in the parking lot? You felt happy. Yeah, the rabbits. You're gonna see.
Now,
the
Lloyd,
rabbits.
you're a very happily married gay man,
Steinbeck.
correct?
Yes.
So not that kind of happy in the parking lot, right?
Very, very happy. I'm actually. I don't know how happy I am.
Okay.
I am a gay married man, but luckily nobody is watching this show, and no one will know. It's my secret. It's our secret, Jeff.
Sorry. Now you have a remake that I mentioned in post-production, Mother's Day, right?
Mother's Day has been shot. Yes, indeed. My brother's movie, Mother's Day, Charles Kaufman's film, has been directed by Darren Allen Bozeman. And it looks great. It looks terrific. My brother and I went up. It was shot in Winnipeg. We went up there, and they gave us a little part. And I think it's going to be pretty interesting. My brother's very, very happy with it.
You did actually mention that the last time we talked, and I think Brett Ratner was interested in it. But
yeah, he's the producer.
He's the producer.
Great.
He
and Richard Saperstein.
Did he get his upfront money?
We finally we wrestled naked in front of the fire, and finally I pinned him.
See, good. Yeah. See, I take notes. I
yeah,
remember
boy,
things.
You've got an amazing. But what's interesting, and this is what is one of the terrible things about our industry. I mean, it could be good, it could be bad. But now, because Brett Ratner is a major player, now the other guys are calling up to remake Class of Nukem High and even Poultrygeist and Toxic Avenger. Of course, we've got that. That may happen too now.
So does this mean Lloyd Kaufman's going mainstream on us?
Well, business sucks. Troma's never been more famous, but we're literally blacklisted economically. We have never had a movie in Blockbuster. Cannibal the Musical by Trey Parker has sold over 200,000 DVDs. Citizen Toxie's probably sold 300,000 DVDs with no advertising, never been on American television. Comedy Central sent me a letter about concerning Cannibal the Musical. Dear Mr. Kaufman, thank you for resubmitting Cannibal the Musical to Comedy Central. It's not up to our standards.
Get out of here.
They hadn't those cupcakes are up to our standards. They're terrific.
It's in a nice. I'll
That's
put
my
this aside.
cupcake. Wait a minute.
Yeah, that's Lloyd's Kaufman. Don't give me Lloyd's cupcake.
Oh no, she was happy. She was,
okay.
She was happy. She was in a good mood. Stay in the good mood. Stay in the good
Stay
mood.
in a good mood. We like you in a good mood.
cupcake.
You have a very pretty smile.
I give you all of them.
Did you hear what he said? What Jeff said? You have a pretty smile. Yeah, that's very cool. No pizza. No, that's not bad. Cheese is not good for you. That's what set you off the last time. So the point is, I sent the letter to those guys hadn't even. I don't even think they looked at the movie, right? I mean,
right.
How can they say that a Trey Parker movie, which has sold all those DVDs,
with
which
South
has
Park being such a strong part of the network.
Exactly. South Park's the biggest thing Comedy Central has. So Trey said he framed that letter, rejection letter from Comedy Central, saying that Cannibal the Musical was not up to Comedy Central standards. That he framed it and hung it in his office at Comedy Central.
That's one.
But the point is, business sucks for us. So if we can get a big fee from the remake of Toxic Avenger or Class of Nukem High or Poultrygeist, they want to remake that movie, which is just still in theaters. It's opening in Chicago.
Right.
Chicago at the Music Box next week or 2 weeks from now. That'll help us make some movies, and maybe we can empower some other directors also. So that'll keep us going. So that's important.
Now, last time you talked about Make Your Own Damn. Since then, Direct Your Own Damn movie has come out. And what are some of the highlights of that? How many directors did you talk to? What are some of the most memorable quotes or interviews
Direct
you
Your
have?
Own Damn movie. In addition to my own theory of directing, it features some successful directors. Eli Roth talks a lot about. He talks about things like film school and how because it's obvious I did not go to film school, and he did, and his interview is terrific because he talks about how film school is a great place to fail, and he also talks about get on a set and do everything. Don't not do anything. It's not about getting another $50 a week. It's about the experience and content. And he's great. And James Gunn talks a lot about comedy and horror and how he was able to make the transition from Romeo and Juliet, a $350,000 movie, to writing Scooby-Doo, a $1 billion movie. So there's some very interesting directors. There's a big piece by Stan Lee, where he kind of evaluates Troma, the good and the bad. And what did you think of directing? Did you like it?
It's much more focused on directing than Make Your Own Damn, which incorporates
Right, Make Your Own Damn Movie was more of a general soup to nuts overview of, and it's more about how Troma has been making movies for 35 years. Direct Your Own Damn Movie has my own spin on directing and how I've directed, but also about 15 directors from Oscar winners down to the guy doing, directing no budget movies.
You know, being fans of Matt and Trey, who we already brought up, your interview again with them, it was interesting hearing them talk about how difficult it is for films to make money. How I think the South Park movie is still not considered to be making a profit yet.
Well, there's a Direct Your Own Damn Movie DVD box set,
right.
And in the interview, when I interviewed them I think they were on the set of Team America, right? And they were really stressed out.
That was in Make Your Own Damn.
Oh, okay.
In Direct Your Own Damn.
Oh, I'm sorry.
They were talking about this, how they feel so much better that they were in a weird place, how they are doing movies again, because in Make Your Own Damn they said they were done.
That's right. They were thinking maybe not making any more movies.
Yeah.
But they also said that the only time they've gotten royalties, now maybe it's not true as of the past year, but they said Cannibal the Musical, that Troma was the only one that ever paid them the profits. That the money they've gotten from movies has always been just the fees. So that's kind of interesting.
Comfy? What's the matter?
No.
How come you're not comfortable? You look comfortable.
Not comfortable.
I've got a bad ankle, and I'm letting you put your feet on my leg that has a bad
just
ankle.
eat my cupcake. Just eat it.
Well, house
I'll be
rules.
okay.
Super Tromette is a really good actress, by the way. Super Tromette by Polaris. She's a very talented writer also, and artist, and she's not...
Don't you know it?
What have you written?
No.
No? Okay. Well, I'm sure it's very good.
No.
I can give you a hint. It's got the word code in it.
Okay.
But on with the interview.
On with the interview. So
usually, Super Tromette by Polaris is, hopefully you'll switch over a little bit. I'm sorry that she's a little down in the dumps right now, but.
I'll be happy for you.
Oh, good.
I'll do anything for you.
Well, please, maybe be happy for Jeff.
Sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
Oh, thank you.
Honest
Thank you, Super
friends.
Tromette.
Let's be friends.
Whew. Feel much better now.
Good.
Thank you, Jeff.
So we were talking about some of the people you've had an influence on whose career. We've had James Gunn on a couple times. Great interviews. James is fantastic.
Oh, he's terrific.
Usually
Yeah,
at some point during the interview we talk about you raping him or him raping you. Usually comes up at some point during that interview.
Yes, indeed.
But it's very fun. Of all the people you've influenced, who do you see the most of you in?
Well, used to be Ingmar Bergman, but he's dead. Let's see. I think James actually, James says in one of the books, he talks about how he channels me when he's on a set, because when I direct, I also, because our budgets are so minute, I've got to be thinking producer. I'm thinking as much about, is the lunch on time as I am about the lead's performance, and I'm thinking as much about, did the feathers come for the chicken Indian zombies and poultry guys? There's a bald spot on the guy's elbow, and I'm thinking as much about that as I am about getting performance. And James says that he does a lot of channeling of me when he's on his set to make sure that he doesn't go over budget and that he's a responsible director. And also he says he enjoys the fact that I'm a shit disturber, and he enjoys doing some of that, but he knows how to do it in a way that doesn't make people hate him. I haven't quite learned that part of it.
Still working on it.
Yeah, I'm still working on it, yeah.
Now, so we talked about some of the issues facing filmmakers. I want to attack it from an alternate perspective for a moment, because I think a lot of the things you're passionate about and you believe in, I agree with, but to what extent is the artist responsible for the plight that we're in? And what I mean by that is apathy. And what can the artist do to help in causes like net neutrality, to help independent film prosper?
I think our whole society has gotten brainwashed. Unfortunately, the post-war baby boomers, they let education go down the drain. That this healthcare thing is ridiculous. I don't get it. I don't understand why we wouldn't want it. But apparently, the rich old guys don't want to pay an extra 50 cents in tax to support the young people of the future who are going to make America great, to continue to make it great. They'd rather support old people with false teeth. I don't get it.
Continue to make America
Yeah, you will
great.
make America great, right? From
What do you think?
South Bronx.
Absolutely. We want to keep you healthy.
So well, at any rate, the point is that I think we're just I think a lot of people have given up. They just feel it's hopeless. But see, I just wrote to the New York Times today. The New York Times had the stupidest editorial about horse racing, the fact that there were 2 female horses that were winning races. They somehow abstractly related that to women's rise in society, and holy cow. And meanwhile, they missed the point that horse racing is a barbaric medieval sport. Those horses, science in the past 30 years, New York Times, has shown that animals actually are a lot more intelligent, a lot more emotional, and they don't want to be breaking their legs and being shot on they don't like that stuff. Why did that monkey bite that woman's face off? Right. But, I mean, again, look at the news we're getting. Look what we're getting on television. Walter Cronkite and Edward R. Murrow, if they saw the way TV is, the so-called news today,
right.
other than Filmnut and Stream TV, it's
right.
Stream.tv, of course. Right. But I mean, everything is a woman getting face bitten off by a monkey 24/7.
Yeah.
And that's the news. Never mind that we're going to send, that it costs $1 million a year for one soldier in Afghanistan. We're going to spend that on 40,000 more. But I mean, I shouldn't be talking about that. I'm only a failed filmmaker.
No, and a Yale graduate, right?
I do have a Yale diploma.
You do?
I don't remember being there, but I have a Yale diploma.
Well,
by the way, yesterday was an interesting day because the A&E is doing a piece on, they're doing a big documentary about Saturday Night Fever. And that was one of my first jobs, to be the location executives.
Oh.
And I had to go around finding all those locations. So it brought back a lot of the 70s in my head.
Well, we have got a fair amount of instant messages building up, so I want to get to your fans. Jutton77 would like to ask her comment. This is good. With various corporations that you seem to be against, you seem to have a good relationship with FearNet, although they only seem to show the Toxie movies. Your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I'm not. If every film I've made, the theme has been it's a conspiracy of elites. It's the labor elite. You have labor leaders making millions of dollars while the guys who do all the work and eating dog food, the constituents, the union members are eating dog food and living in refrigerator boxes. You've got the bureaucratic elite, the Charles Rangels of the world, the Congress and the Senate, who all have enriched themselves and have, they all have health care. No problem if you're a congressperson. You got health care. You've got pensions like coming out of your ears. Millions of dollars in pensions, too. Millions. Not to mention the fact that you've got all these earmarks and, and then the corporate elite. So it's the 3 elites. It's not just military-industrial complex or just the corporations. As far as FearNet goes, I don't know much about them, but they're part of... they're certainly not doing much, right? You're right. It's only the Toxic Avenger, I guess. Right. I don't know much about what's going on with it, but I'm grateful if they're showing Toxie. Better than not showing Toxie.
And let's not forget the government voting on their own salary increases.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, big salary. No minimum wage increase. Right. That would be bad, but let's give those congressmen more money, sure.
Triple M, MMM Bop would like to ask, do you have a favorite of your babies, a favorite Troma film?
I think my favorite Troma film is Poultrygeist: Night of the Chicken Dead because it's the most risk-taking. I think if anything, I think what I've really pioneered has been the mixing of the genres, according to some of the younger directors today. And we added in the musical comedy. Being a gay married man, I've cried to many a Barbara Streisand and Judy Garland musical, and so Poultrygeist has got about 6 songs that are sung on screen.
I've also heard you comment how proud you are of the acting in that film.
It's the best, by far. You're absolutely right. It's by far the best acting. We got really lucky with Jason Yashonin and Kate Graham.
They were both a lot of fun.
Oh, they're amazing. Yeah. They're terrific. They're really great, and they did so much to bring up a lot of rehearsing, months of rehearsing. But they sang their own song. All of the actors in Poultrygeist sing their own songs, and Jason and Kate also did. There was nothing they wouldn't do. They were not afraid to, do anything I told them. And on top of it, they did more. They improvised. I mean, some of the funniest stuff is what Jason and Kate came up with.
Did you see Poultrygeist?
I saw Poultrygeist.
And what do you think of it?
I liked it. Made me happy.
Did it make you not want to eat fast food?
No, don't talk about eating.
Oh. Sorry. Is that a bad question?
Well,
why are you messing with me?
No, I'm not.
What did I do to you?
I asked you an honest question.
What did I do, huh?
If you could just take one little bite out of those.
I asked you an honest question.
Just have a little bit.
Lloyd, she was off the cupcake. Why did you have to bring that up?
Oh, sorry. Well, I didn't brought the food thing up, but.
Well, you know what? I see a really good.
Sit back.
I see a really good question I want to get to Lloyd from.
Great! I'm glad people are. They're good questions.
Kai Bar's Fangs. This is a long one. It might take a minute. What are your thoughts on the fact that movies that have nudity unpopular social views, homosexuality, etc., are generally reviewed harsher and protested more than movies that have violence as a main selling point. Isn't graphic violence worse than all the other stuff?
Very wise man. The problem with American society is that we have descended from the Puritans, and I guess, you know, violence is okay. CNN can show body parts, and the Today Show can show a woman with a face bitten off by a monkey that Oprah's been showing. That's okay for the children to watch in the morning while they're eating their Fruit Loops and junk food. But God forbid we should have a naked human. You know, that's horrible. You know, it's just our value system, and it's very screwed up. But on the other hand, if Sony Columbia Pictures makes a movie that has, you know, hardcore sex with a donkey, the New York Times will put it right on the front page of the Sunday theatrical, you know, arts and leisure section, because that's how it runs.
Well, a great documentary on this topic that not Trey but Matt was interviewed for was This Film Has Not Yet Been Rated, exposing what goes on at the MPAA and the difference between how studio films and independents are treated by the ratings board. In general, though, I think it's gotten stricter over the years. Like you can get away with more in some instances years ago than you can today in terms of what that particular viewer was questioning.
Yes, the MPAA basically is one, because when we had a shot at competing in the 80s, they disemboweled Troma's War. They cut out bullet hits. They cut out punches in order to get an R rating. In those days, you couldn't play in theaters without an R rating. You couldn't be in a chain, and you certainly couldn't get into video stores and on TV unless you had and you needed the R rating to. The Die Hard with Bruce Willis was full of serious violence, no problem. Blood on the walls, kneecaps exploding. Troma's War, everything was cut out of it and that was after Die Hard. So the MPA had a double standard. They treat the big movies differently. Trey and Matt talk about Cannibal the Musical. We had to cut stuff out of that to get an R rating. That's ridiculous. It's like Monty Python.
Right.
But meanwhile, they told me when they were working on South Park Bigger and Better, or whatever, you know, the South Park, the Paramount movie, suddenly the MPA was very helpful and was kind of telling them specifically how to do it. With us, they don't tell you either. With us, they don't tell you. They just say your movie is extra. You know, your movie's not going to get an R rating, and then we have to figure out. The hope is that we'll cut the thing to shreds and then, you know, disembowel our movie. That's so horrible.
Well, the great story with that South Park movie is the MPAA didn't get the title Bigger, Longer, and Uncut.
Yeah.
And they approved it, and then after the fact, they tried to get up to change it, and they were like, "Oh no,
See
this is our title."
But again, they had Paramount behind them. If it were Cannibal the Musical, believe me, they would have.
Gracie Ulice would like to ask you, where would you like to see Troma films in the future? And I would like to add to that question, because you have all these talks of remakes of different Troma films. How involved will you be with the remakes? Would it be an outright sale and someone else would do it, and take it away from there?
Well, the first part of the question, where do we want to be in the future? We want to continue to make movies of the future. We want to make movies that come from the heart. We'd like to be able to, as we have in the past, enable new, younger actors and directors to apply their craft, to learn their craft, to create movies they believe in. And we'd like to continue doing that. And I'd like to continue making a movie once or every 3 or 4 years. And as far as the remakes go, there's no middle ground. There's only, and I've learned this, and in the Produce Your Own Damn Movie book, one of the themes of that book is either you have total control, and I think in the directing book too, Direct Your Own Damn Movie, either you have total control over what you're doing, or you just give it to the other ones and say, have your way with it, and take the money, and that's it. Because there's no middle ground. I've learned through Toxic Avenger Part 2, Part 3, and Sergeant Kabuki Man, that the compromise, it just doesn't make a better movie. And I don't even think it makes you more money, unless you have unless you brainwash the public with hundreds of millions of dollars in Burger King action figures, and maybe then they'll go to see, whatever's, Twilight Part 6 or whatever.
Fair enough. Fa would like to ask, in Lloyd's experience, is it more cost-effective to pay your lead actress extra to do a nude scene, or hire another woman for stunt nudity?
I don't think stunt nudity. I think stunts are very important for safety. The stunts of car crashes and people jumping out windows and landing in whatever. But I don't. I think in the same way that I just saw a movie. Oh, Saturday Night Fever. Saturday Night Fever. John Travolta.
You're hooked up to a sound microphone. If you could just
just get the cupcake
please,
for me.
Super Troma by Polaria.
Just get the cupcake. I want it back.
There you go.
I want the other one back too.
Okay.
No, let him keep it. We're going to eat it. We're going to have a cupcake party. We'll have it afterwards.
So you were saying?
Travolta did his own dancing. In fact, he insisted on the wide shots so that people knew it was. So I wouldn't have a stunt body. I think that's a mistake. I think the public gets it. I also believe very much in real locations. The real location of Poultrygeist, a real fast food place, you can't build that. It just wouldn't. It would just smack of phoniness.
Well, you just triggered a thought in me based on my last interview with you and a more recent interview I saw with you, and I think executive producer Brian Grimeau might want to chime in on this part of the conversation. You've always been a film guy. You always like making your movies in 35 millimeter. You like the look. You think your audience does as well.
You've always been a film guy, haven't you?
Yeah, as a matter of fact. But more recently, I've heard you talk that digital cameras you thought have caught up, and you're thinking about going digital on your next work.
I think again, I'm not an expert, but I had some of the new directors, Brian Taylor and Mark Neveldine, gave me a part in Gamer,
right?
And I filmed behind the scenes, and I did a little study, which appears in the DVD of Direct Your Own Damn Movie. I did a behind the scenes about the red camera, and on the set of Gamer, and I also was in Herschel Gordon Lewis's new film, shot in Florida with the red camera. That looks like a great, major world changer as far as movie making goes. I think the quality may be better than 35 millimeter. I just don't know if there are battery problems or card problems or whatever, and I guess the lighting, I haven't learned how to do the lighting, but I think most likely the Toxic Avenger Part 5, I think it's developed enough since Make Your Own Damn Movie, since that book when I was very much against using digital.
Right.
I think the medium of digital cinema has really technically become as good as celluloid. I'm not sure, but I think the next movie I will try.
There you go. Well,
now Crank, by the way, I had a part in Crank.
Right.
That movie was shot with the little handy cams. There were like 15 of these handy cams laying all over the set. It was like a Best Buy, it's like being at Best Buy, yeah. And they shot that movie on these little DV cameras, and it's beautiful. If it's been in 2,000 theaters, and it looks magnificent. So I mean, it's come a long way. I'm not technically an expert, but boy, I would certainly. I think I will use it on Part 5.
Brian, you talked to Lloyd in our last interview over 2 years ago. Say hello.
Hi, Lloyd. Welcome back to the Stream.tv.
Brian.
How do you like the new space, sir? How do you like it?
Boy, congratulations. It's fantastic. It's amazing. Yeah, you guys have hit the mainstream. You should call mainstream TV now.
There you go. Main the Stream.tv. I'm gonna use that, Lloyd. Thank you very much. I don't know, Jeff wanted me to chime in with digital. My biggest thing about digital, it's less a bad impact on the environment. There's no chemicals used to process the film. There's no wasted film.
You, yes.
To me, digital is better for the environment for a lot of different reasons.
Al
much
Gore
less
should
waste.
have said that. Al Gore should have said that in that Inconvenient Truth, because the inconvenient truth is DVDs and CDs are all oil-based, and then when they're thrown away, and those cassettes, it's all sitting around rotting and polluting, and not to mention the fact that oil. Get your stuff from Pirate Bay. I mean, get your entertainment from www.troma.com, safely and securely. But the point is, if he had any guts, he would have talked about that. And he also should have done more to talk about the fact that maybe if we cut down on meat, we wouldn't have square miles of pig. I don't know. Can you just use?
You can use
shit?
defecation,
yeah,
sure.
Pig, whatever it is. Pig and goat and cow. Read my Lloyd's Roid on Troma.com. I've just put it up, and I've got references to different facts about how many tons daily that cows are putting up into the ozone. So you're right, absolutely. Brian is absolutely right.
Yay, Brian! You're absolutely right.
Thanks, Brian, and thanks for bringing up that environmental issue. But that is a very important issue.
And in the end, I think a lot of people miss that film look only because it's what they're used to. And some people were used to getting their film developed and holding that photograph. And now it seems like almost everyone's totally fine with just looking at their pictures on Facebook or on their computer. So we just have to get out of the habit of having to use the chemicals to develop these things. And hopefully people forget what they look like, which is essentially an inferior medium. And it's 24 frames a second. You're missing most of the information there. So you're actually, and it seems more dreamy to people, I guess. That's why they like the film look. But, you know, there's ways to simulate that.
Well, certainly check out the Red Camera. If anybody's making movies, sure seems like, and again, the handy cams, if they don't cost anything, you can, you know, put them under, take them out of Best Buy and nobody's looking.
Do
They look at
the
things, they're
My
great.
Date with Drew deal and buy the camera for 30 days and return it from Circuit
That's right.
City.
How many people can do? Yeah, how many people are doing that?
That's right.
Sure, sure.
So you started to mention produce your own damn
Also,
movie.
I've been acting in a lot of first-time directors, and they're all shooting. I think I've only been in 1 or 2 celluloid movies, and all of these digital movies, I learn a lot by being on the set. Different, you know, homemade Steadicam things that they've got, and how they light, because it's almost fun. With 35 millimeter, it ain't fun. Watch the documentary, Poultry in Motion, Truth is Stranger Than Chicken. Watch, if you're a film student, check out the documentary. I think you can get it on Netflix, or you can certainly get it on Pirate Bay, and it's bootlegged all over the world. But it's a very, you see how horrible it is to make a 35 millimeter movie if you have only $500,000. It's torture, and yet you with digital, it's fun. It's fun. You don't spend 8 hours lighting a closet. You know, you do it in 15, 20 minutes.
Oh, and if I can butt in one last time, digital
Brian.
requires less light, which means less energy used, and also better for the environment.
Indeed, indeed.
Very
indeed.
good. And Brian, sorry for banging my microphone, but Lloyd made me laugh, and I may have banged my lava on you.
No problem. He's a funny gentleman.
He's a funny gentleman. So produce your own damn movie. What else is in there that the filmmaker out there should look for, and why should they buy it? What's
Well,
in it?
if you want to make a movie that cost $100 million, you can read the interview with Avi Lerner, who made Rambo Part 4 and 3 or 4 recent big movies. If you want to learn about what it's like to deal with the Oscar kind of a thing, Mark Harris there's a long piece with him, and he talks about Crash and the politics of the Oscar and the Producers Association and all that stuff, Producers Guild. And then it goes up and down the food chain, all the way down to the guy who made Bloodbath in the House of Knives, which is an American giallo, kind of an imitation, a tribute to the Italian giallo genre. And of course, about half of it concerns how Troma's model, our basic model of the $500,000 35 millimeter movie, may be well out of date in the way that my wife's 1969 Mustang looks nice,
Right.
and you can drive it, but it's got nice wheels, but the whole thing together doesn't really work.
Is there going to be a DVD set for Produce Your Own Damn?
Yes, we're working on it. We've got terrific interviews with, we got Monty Hellman talking about how he's producing, Herschel Gordon Lewis, as I say, Mark Harris, Oscar winner, Paul Hertzberg tells you how he works with the Canadian banks and pre-sells movies, and he makes kind of $4 or $5 million films.
So pre-selling meaning that you raise money in advance of actually making it by getting advance commitments from.
Right, Kathy Morgan, who is a sales agent but an executive producer, has what's her name? Tom Cruise's former wife, who can act.
Natalie. Nicole Kidman.
Nicole Kidman.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's got a project with her and the gal from who Woody Allen uses in Sarah Coppola's movie. Sandra Jorgensen, whatever her name is. Scarlett Johansson.
And she looks like
and
me.
Kathy's got this huge movie based on a best-selling book, but pre-sells it, sells France, Germany, and knows approximately, knows her. She's so reliable, people trust her. So a French producer, a French distributor will advance a certain amount of money to get that big movie for France. So they pre-sell. So they both tell you in the book
how they do it.
And then there's some smaller producers who also tell you how they raise the money and how they package the movies and how agents figure into it and why does every movie now have 15 producers in the credits?
Right.
And they all do things. They all have functions.
Right.
It's very interesting. And the producing book is really, really, really interesting. And President Barack Obama actually, I wrote him a letter in the book, and then he writes back. So there's all sorts of very, very interesting elements. And I think the producing book, Produce Your Own Damn Movie, is probably my most informative, useful, and it's the most serious of the books I've done.
But the only
as
thing I
opposed to the
noticed
most XM of the books I've done.
that's right. You don't. That's right. There you go. You don't put as much oomph in saying direct your own damn movie or produce your own damn movie as you did with make your own
that's
damn
right.
movie.
That's right. Make your own. Yeah, that's right. We had some TV ads.
Okay.
Make your own damn movie. Yeah, produce your own damn movie.
Every time I try to quietly say make your own damn movie,
right.
no, you got to say make your
That's
own
right.
damn movie.
Boy, thank you. Thank
Now,
you. That book is still doing great, by the way.
I'm sure,
Movie.
a lot of great stuff on that.
Yeah.
Beatloaf has a question. I know Beatloaf is a big fan of yours from when you were here over 2 years
These
ago.
are very good questions, by the way.
I would love
Great.
to work on a Troma movie set. How can I get on board, Lloyd?
Big mistake. Just watch the Troma website. That's all the people that worked on Poultrygeist, except for the small group of technical players. They all just came in through our website. We had people from Australia, from Canada, from Germany, France, England. They all came to Buffalo, New York, and slept on the floor and
Didn't eat.
No, learned how to
Got
defecate in a
feathers
paper
glued
bag.
to them.
What's that? Yeah, exactly.
Cupcakes.
Plenty of
That's right.
cupcakes.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't have cupcakes. Are expensive. They're hard to make.
I think the next movie you make, you have got to have, like, because you always do the behind the scenes, you're great at doing that, great documentaries to learn about filmmaking. You got to have a reality show with the people that work on a Troma set.
You know, James Gunn had it all set up with IFC. And then there's somebody there that, oddly enough, someone apparently way high up who hated me. And instead they used the idea was going to be they were going to have a reality show during the making of Poultrygeist Night of the Chicken Dead. If you see that documentary, that would have been one great reality show. And it would have been hilarious and sad and crazy and educational. But instead they used some professor from some film school who had all these ass-licking students doing short films about their retarded brother-in-law, politically correct
Right,
stuff.
sure,
And
sure.
the thing went right in the toilet. And James was furious.
Did you feel like how I felt when he wouldn't eat my cupcake?
No. It wasn't that kind of retarded. And in fact, you're not retarded. You're very talented. And I was telling Jeff, you're a very good writer, as well as actor person, sorry.
Right. At the AFM Market, you had a press conference for the upcoming Troma Dance, correct?
Yes,
How did that
we
go,
did.
and what was announced at this conference?
Well, we had a very good press conference, mainly just to announce that the 11th Troma Dance Film Festival, again, which you don't have to pay to submit your movies. You can see the movies for free, and there's no VIP policy. This takes place very much inspired by the trip that I took. In fact, you and I met, as you reminded us, during Sundance many years ago, when Trey Parker insisted on going with Cannibal the Musical.
No,
even
with
though-
Orgasmo.
Oh, it was with. Oh no, he actually did. Orgasmo, which was a Universal movie, got in.
Got
That's
into
right. It got
Sundance,
in because
correct.
it was Universal.
And
the
we
year before,
were actors in Orgasmo, and
oh, that's why.
we
Yeah,
were
but
at
the year
festival.
before we went because of Cannibal the Musical, and Trey had submitted it to Sundance and paid because we were too cheap and paid the $300 and never even got a fuck you letter. And so he went. They went to and they had their own festival. They had a one-movie film for. They rented a place in Sundance in that town of Park City, Utah, and it was a huge success. The Cannibal the Movie, and Redford was furious. But that was what led to Troma Dance. No, you don't pay to submit your movies, and everything's free. And as a result, of course, it's not a very good business plan. There's no revenue, so we need. Troma in the past has had money, but now we're business really, as I mentioned, is terrible. So we need sponsors, and G4 has been nice enough to help us out, and a few other sponsors have helped us. We also we have one prize that we give, which is the Kodak Spirit of Independence Award, and a young filmmaker, Bobby Hacker, received that award. Really talented. In fact, Troma's going to release Bobby Hacker's oeuvre in a few months. We're going to release it as a Troma Dance DVD.
Now, right before we came live, or shortly after, you gave me your catalog of over 800 films distributed by Troma, right?
Oh, it's beautiful. Yes, we did.
Very nice. One thing I noticed, just looking at it real quickly, because you have it broken down into all different categories and short and features. No short film since 2001. Is that correct? Are you?
No, I don't think
No,
so.
are you still distributing short films?
Yeah, oh yeah. We just put out a DVD this month called Shameless, Tasteless, which are the short films of Yakov Levy, who is a Ukrainian underground filmmaker. And I discovered him in Slovenia. I didn't even know what Slovenia was. They did a Troma retrospective. They showed a few of my movies. And I went there, and then around 2 in the morning, They showed outdoors on a big screen, kind of like a drive-in. They showed these movies these underground Ukrainian movies of Yakov Levy, and they're brilliant. They're terrific. Shameless, tasteless.
Is that a Jewish Ukrainian, or
pardon?
Is that a Jewish Ukrainian person?
Yeah, he is. He's
Yeah?
Jewish. He's
Yeah.
very Jewish, indeed. And the shorts are brilliant. They're hilarious. They're totally they are much more extreme in every sense of the word than Troma, and they have great morals and great themes to them. They're very wise and very smart. And of course, we will lose.
So you
money.
do distribute shorts?
Oh yeah,
with
it's a
features.
whole DVD. It just came out. Shameless, Tasteless. It's great. Try to get it. I don't know. It's not. We've never had a movie in Blockbuster. We've never had a DVD there. But I think you'll find it. It's certainly on Netflix.
Right.
Troma's website has it. It's really great, and it's all shorts.
Gracie Ulice would like to ask another question. Other than the new Toxic Avenger film coming up, is there anything else we should look out for? Thank you for asking that.
Well, I think Shameless Tasteless, that DVD this month, finally the uncut version of the Dennis Hopper movie, a wonderful film that we own. We had nothing to do with making it. Philippe Mora directed it about 30 years ago. Mad Dog Morgan, and Dennis Hopper gets his brown eye invaded in Mad Dog Morgan. It's a really, really good movie. And that footage, which has never been seen, and lots of other footage, is included. Also,
That was shot in Australia, wasn't it?
yes, it was. Yes, in Australia.
Very good.
Indeed, indeed. And also recently we put out the 20th anniversary edition of Combat Shock, 2 discs. And Buddy Giovanazio's movie, and that brilliant film that the media missed. Everybody missed it the first time around. Michael Herz and I we helped finance it, and now, 20 years later, New York Times devoted two full pages. David Carr devoted 2 full pages to Combat Shock. That is a great movie, beautifully restored, and we put the Buddy's original version. When he originally made it, I screwed around with it a little bit, unfortunately. But we gave both versions. Although Buddy loves my version, so now you get to see his original Combat Shock and also the Troma theatrical version that I created.
So Troma.com for all things Troma. You can learn about your movies, festivals. You can buy things Troma and all that kind of good stuff. You got direct your own damn movie, make your own damn movie, and now produce your own damn movie. Also, IFTA, Independent Film and Television Alliance. Is there a website there that independent filmmakers can go and study and kind of learn more?
Yes, IFTA-online.org. IFTA-online. Well, just Google IFTA.
Right.
Also, if you go to Lloyd Kaufman on YouTube, I have a PSA explaining the whole media consolidation and net neutrality issue. And it's very important. We've started a website, fightforindependent.com. Or .org, maybe it's .org. Fight for Independence, whatever it is. Right. It's full of independent-minded people just like you guys, and it's a place for you all to leave messages. And then again, the LloydKaufman.com has also got lots of essays. And
so if you go to fightforindependence.com and it's a militant group, try .org, and that'll that'll work.
Yeah, exactly.
And that'll work for you.
If it's a front for the drug companies, it could be Pfizer behind it. But thanks.
Well, thanks for giving those websites. We got one more instant message to get to before we get you out of here with our standard get you out of here question. And this comes from Doc Mock, a fellow host here on the Stream.tv. Oh. Any more plans to release big independent film collections like Toxie's Top 10 and Blood Bank again? Would love to see some more crazy film collections like that.
That's an interesting question. I don't think we have any plans, but I can tell you that we just put out the last horror film, which was a Joe Spinell starring movie. That's a great film. Again, 2 discs. Oh, Hanging Woman. My God, get Hanging Woman. Hanging Woman, the Spanish movie with what the hell is this? He just turned 75. He's very ill now. Anyway, big horror star. You know who I'm talking about. Anyway, Hanging Woman. It was a great movie from the 70s, and it's never been put out in America in its full edition. And the Troma Retro label just released it. It's terrific. But I don't think we have any of those Toxie choices coming up. No.
Well, I don't remember what your answer was 2 years ago, so I'll have to go back and look and see if it's the same this time. But we like to ask, do you have a favorite set speak term?
Set speak term?
Like back to one or checking the gate, 10-1, martini shot, anything?
Yeah, it's in terra firma, and it's in I'm going to blow my fucking brains out. I'm going to blow my fucking brains out. I'm going to blow my fucking brains out. And it's become rather famous. Okay, I hope can you say it? Can you beat me? Or?
It's too late now. Don't worry about it.
I'm
We're
sorry.
all good.
I didn't
okay.
even think of that. Oh,
You're
geez.
Unky Lloyd.
I'm sorry.
But
that,
and we're
that
on late,
phrase
and we're on
is
later than
becoming
usual,
kind of,
so we're doubly covered.
Oof, I'm very sorry. I apologize. Eek. But why don't you eat the cupcake? Maybe super Troma.
Sneak it in.
Yeah,
Sneak it in.
Well, actually, that's going to do it for this interview. We are done.
You want
Well,
it?
thank you. Thank you on behalf of Super Tromet Bipolaria and the Troma team. Thank you very much. Super Tromet is happy.
Super Tromet, it has been very interesting meeting you. Thank you for coming on. Lloyd, we can't let so much time pass till the next time.
Yeah, definitely.
It's been an absolute pleasure seeing you and talking to you.
Come to New York and we'll get you tickets for the Toxic Avenger musical. You'll really enjoy it. It's really good.
Yeah, look out for so much, as though it's a long interview, but so much I didn't get to. Congratulations
no.
on the musical and everything else.
Yeah, we'll get tickets.
I appreciate
Brian
that.
Or Jared. If you're there, it may come to LA. They just signed up a company. It opened in Toronto. It's got music by the Bon Jovi guy, David Bryan, and it's kind of a broad. They kept me out of it. It's again an example of either you control everything or you stay out. Right. And they did a great job in bringing the Troma humor to a more mainstream. And it's great. It's terrific.
And of course, we can include Chloe in that too, right? We can get her a ticket.
Chloe,
too.
are you kidding? I'll take Chloe as my personal guest.
Very cool. I heard her laughing in the background.
Chloe's great.
Well, Lloyd Kaufman, thanks again for coming on tonight. Been a big pleasure.
Thank you, Jeff, and thank you so much, Super Tromet Bipolaria.
Thank you so
been a
much.
wonderful evening.
That is going to do it for this doubleheader of Filmnut. I thank everyone for tuning in to one or both shows, and we will see you next time on Filmnut. Happy Thanksgiving. No Filmnut next week, guys. Take care.